For Christmas, you may have concluded, boy, our nation's colleges are kind of liberal. How liberal? Well, one report says that liberal professors outnumber conservatives, in New England anyway, 28 to 1. 28 to 1. A new piece in Boston Magazine argues that this echo chamber, this left-wing echo chamber, is ruining college for everybody, conservatives and liberals alike. The author of that piece, Chris Sweeney, joins us now. Chris, it's great to see you tonight. I went to high school and college in New England, and it seemed pretty liberal, but 28 to 1. That's like Soviet level. Is that true?
Yeah, it's based on 25 years worth of data collected by the Higher Education Research Institute, and it was a professor by the name of Sam Abrams who looked into this and started crunching the numbers. And what he found was in New England, it's 28 to 1. And, in the rest of the country, it's nowhere near that. Out on the liberal West Coast, it was 6 to 1. Down south, it was 3 to 1. In the Midwest, it was 3 to 1. But in New England, it was 28 to 1. So
that's amazing. I mean, New England, of course, has a very high concentration of some of our most prestigious, I'm not sure best, but certainly most famous colleges and secondary schools for that matter. That doesn't happen by accident. If it's 28 to 1, there's something intentional going on. They're only hiring people who agree with them, do you think?
So, I tried to get into this a little bit in my reporting, and I polled a lot of people and interviewed dozens of people for this story, and I never could get there's no one explanation as to why this is such a phenomenon in New England. Some people said, it's self-selection. Liberals live where they work, so well, of course you're going to see this type of bubble. So, I think that was part of the problem, and everyone kind of has their own theories as to why it's this way. Some say it's a matter of history. If you go back centuries, you can look at, this has always been a progressive area, and, the purposes of a lot of the great universities were progressive causes driving them.
But isn't this the whole rationale for the diversity regimen the rest of us live under, that like-minded people tend to make bad decisions because there's no air in the room and you need someone who disagrees with you in order to keep you honest? Has no one at, say, Harvard or Dartmouth or Brown ever thought, well, maybe we should live by the rules we impose on others?
So I think this is an issue that's getting a lot of attention now, and I think professors are starting to become increasingly concerned about this and trying to figure out, why diversity of viewpoint is essentially non-existent in New England, and they're, looking for ways to address this.
It doesn't sound very fun anyway. I know I wouldn't want to be around all people who agreed with me on everything. That really would be kind of like looking in the mirror all day, and what's the fun of that? What's the other downside to this?
It really undermines the whole purpose of a college education, which are exorbitantly expensive nowadays. You're supposed to be exposed to conflicting viewpoints to learn how the world works. And, as one of my sources said, the world is not full of progressives. So when students are coming out of college and they're going to the workplace or whatever the next step is, you have to wonder whether they're actually prepared to step out of that bubble into the real world.
No, that's such a good point. So you wrote this piece, I think, for Boston Magazine, right?
I did, yes.
What kind of response did you get to it? The Hub has got to be one of the most liberal cities in the world. Did people egg your car, or what did people say when this piece came out?
So, surprising, we've gotten a ton of letters to the editor, and what we've noticed, though, is it's a lot of old-school liberals saying this is a major problem. I have gotten a few, nasty emails, but I was shocked at the number of people who have emailed us or written us saying, I am a bleeding heart liberal, 70 years old, and I am shocked to read this. So, it wasn't, it wasn't as vicious as I was anticipating, or at least it hasn't been so far.
A lot of the old school liberals are pretty honest, and they believe in free speech, and, they're not all bad. Actually, it's the young ones who are scary, I think. Chris, thanks a lot for joining us. That was really interesting, that piece.
Thank you.